Well, I'm interested in the subject because until a few, maybe 30 years ago, until maybe the 1980s, it really didn't get that much attention in the recent academic studies. And especially philosophers hadn't been paying attention to it. And so much of human well-being is, of how our lives go, is what's going on upstairs in our heads, in our minds. And so that to me is really the single most important thing for us to understand about well-being, even if well-being isn't just about a psychological thing. So, and I guess as a field, I see well-being psychology as something that it's really interdisciplinary. It's not just philosophers, it's not just psychologists. It's anthropologists, psychologists, philosophers, neuroscientists, political scientists, economists, literature professors, it's all kinds of people. I think people are starting to really learn, get a clearer sense of the limitations of just pursuing material wealth and material progress. And for thousands of years, we really had to focus so much attention on material progress. And now we've reached that point where we've made a lot of material progress, but not making as much progress in other areas, like in happiness. And in pursuing material wealth, sometimes we've undercut other things, like so it's perfectly possible to be rich and have lots of nice stuff, but to be lonely and to live in a place where you don't really have a really strong community. And my own experience living in different places, I could see the happiest places I was in were not the richest. And so I think one thing that's happening with the research, people always knew that money doesn't really buy happiness, but now it's kind of giving us permission. We now have data, and we can say, so it's giving us a check in order to go forward and change the way we do things. Something we have to do both as individuals, doing things like developing skills for dealing with and better habits for dealing with setbacks and cultivating optimism and cultivating ourselves. And a lot of it also is something that we have to do together, and that's my own research. I'm especially interested in the fact that how important our environment is, and the social side of it, and how important it is if you live in the right sort of community, where in the right community that shapes kind of your daily habits. And maybe the one most important thing I would say is the most important thing for happiness maybe isn't the big picture items like did you win a big prize or something, or do you have a lot of money, but what's your day-to-day life like? Do you spend a lot of time with people that you really have a lot of affection for and that you trust? Do you have interesting work that you really like doing, or that what you do you're really engaged with? And do you feel like you have the basic, what you need in order to avoid bad things happening to you so you're not worried all the time? I think first we have to, especially in the United States where I'm from, we have very much this mentality, we're very individualistic, and we think it's all about pursuing what you do yourself. And but you know, if you live in the outer suburbs of St. Louis, say, or Phoenix, it's hard to find people to hang out with on a Friday night because nobody's around. And if you live in another neighborhood, like say where a friend lives in Charleston, South Carolina, people are out on their front porches every night, and you just run into your neighbors, and it's just natural to bond with other people, and it's hard to imagine a more effective thing we could do. And that's something the government alone can't do it. You and I as individuals alone can't do it, but kind of all working together, I think we can.